rotation embedded in this thunderstorm. So let's dive back down into this cluster here so that we can give folks an idea of exactly what we're seeing here. And you can see that there's heavy rain from Olney all the way down into North Bethesda, but the more important part of this is that we actually have some rotation. Now, the rotation signature is not as tight as it was a few minutes ago, and in these types of situations, this is what we want to see. We want to see a loosening of that rotation, but if you're in the Olney area, this is moving through your communities, moving into Brookville, Brighton, Brinklow, Ashton. Once again, that red and green, not as bright and vibrant as it was a few minutes ago, but still something that is of significance. We're always talking about shear. Whenever we're talking about the environment, the day before, a couple days before, we're looking at a lot of different parameters. Shear is essentially winds shifting with height. Whenever you have wind shifting with height, that allows for a rotation. So it allows for thunderstorms to rotate. And whenever that rotation tightens a little bit, that can stretch down towards the ground. And we're looking at higher radar elevations, looking essentially at the tops of these thunderstorms. And we can see that that rotation is in that same community, Olney, Brookville, Knowles. That's going to be moving off towards the north and east into Brighton and Brinklow, Clarksville, Highland. You are downwind from that. We can look to see if we have any hail embedded in this thunderstorm. That's also an indication of a developing, a growing, intensifying thunderstorm, and that is not as high. This is where we're seeing those hail parameters at, and that is also not as impressive as it was in the thunderstorm just a few minutes ago. So we'll continue to monitor this as this is moving off towards the north and east. You can see a wall of water out ahead of that rotation from Brighton, moving into the Brinklow, Ashton, Ashley Manors community, Allenwood. This is not the time that you want to be out on the road because once again, all of this heavy rain and a rotating thunderstorm, anything that happens, the skies are getting dark. It's going to make it a little bit harder for you to see. So we're going to continue to update that storm relative velocity radar scan because that allows us to see that rotation. And if you were with us whenever we initially came online for this warning, there was a bright blob of red, a bright blob of green, and we could see a definitive rotation within this thunderstorm. But we are no longer seeing that, at least not to the extent that we were seeing before. So we're going to zoom out a little bit and kind of get a look at what else is going on in the environment here. Take a look at our regular radar view, which you're more accustomed to seeing. And you can see, even once we zoom out a little bit more, that this line of thunderstorms is essentially from the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. We have warnings for strong wind, heavy rain, and some small hail stretching all the way through the state of Maryland. And this is all moving towards the east. So this is the beginning, unfortunately, of a days-long event that we're going to be tracking. These storms, strong wind, hail, tornado. These were all parameters that we knew that we could expect. I'm going to time it out for you so that you can get an idea on what the day is going to look like here. So we are continuing to monitor this line of storms. It's going to move off towards the east. I do expect some dry time as we head into the afternoon, but strong southerly flow is going to continue to supply our atmosphere with humidity, with the high dew points, with energy. So we're going to see more showers and thunderstorms roll through late day. There's still going to be a severe weather risk, but I think that we're going to lose that potential for a tornado as we head through the evening. So strong wind, hail, heavy rain, all of that's going to be possible. And unfortunately, we're going to see some of these areas pick up not only rain, but strong wind. So it looks like we actually just had a new warning issued here. So I'm going to go back to my radar scans here because it looks like we just about have, maybe that's northern Carroll County here. Let's zoom this down. Let's zoom out first. It looks like we have a new tornado warning for this corner of, looks like Carroll County. Looks like we have a rotating thunderstorm there. Let's try to pick up on some of that. That's the extreme northern tip of Carroll County. That's, yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of rotation there. So they issued a warning for a very small community, very small subset. That rotation signature isn't that strong, but once again, folks that are north of Taneytown, just to the east of Emmitsburg, there is a tornado warning that was just issued for that community. Looks like that was issued till about 1. That's probably going to expire soon as that line is moving off towards the east-northeast. Once again, let's try to get some more communities here. This is once again very rural very rural northern Maryland, so we're not going to get a whole lot here. Yes, but this is going to be Longville, Harney, stretching towards 11 Meadows, Babylon Heights. There's rotation in that area. The National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning for that corner of the region. That's also going to be near the Humbert Schoolhouse area as well. So once again, we're tracking 2 tornado warnings in our area, both of them moving towards the east. You can see the cell to the south not looking as impressive as it was looking earlier today, and looking at that northern corner of Carroll County, tornado warning. The reason why it's drawn kind of weird is because right here is kind of where the National Weather Service cuts off. So we have 2 different National Weather Services forecasting for this region. Once you get into Pennsylvania, that becomes Philly's area. So obviously our folks down in Northern Virginia issuing a tornado warning that looks a little bit odd because of that reason. But once again, 2 tornado warnings moving towards the east. Both of those are going to be active for quite some time. Looks like this tornado warning that is to the south is the one that we're probably going to be tracking for the longest time, because that's the one that's going to be moving towards the city of Baltimore. So not expecting this warning to hold up, but anytime we see these thunderstorms roll through, they run into pockets of energy, they can kind of reignite. So we're going to be watching this for folks in Elkridge, Baltimore City, Towson, Edgewood. This cell is angling towards you. So if we can continue to keep that instability there, some of the biggest populations could be impacted. And it looks like severe thunderstorm watch was just extended into portions of Baltimore City and Baltimore County, but also we have a new tornado warning as well. So things are kind of firing up, folks, here. New tornado warning that is issued for a different part of Howard County. This is going to include the city of Dayton and Cooksville, Woodstock. Let's pick up on this relative velocity here. Once again, the signatures aren't overly impressive here, but there is some rotation there, and there's also some shear. So that shear's lifted north. More than likely, this warning will be expired within the next few minutes. This cell looks to be moving a little bit more towards the north. So Cooksville, Sykesville, even folks that are in Randallstown, you are going to be just downwind of this rotation. Once again, a new tornado warning issued for portions of Howard County that is going to be lifting towards the north and east, and then we have severe thunderstorm warnings. So I want to do a big reset here, then we'll dive back into that. That rotation isn't looking too tight, but it's a very active weather day for us. We have lots of severe thunderstorm warnings. Essentially, we can plan on at least severe thunderstorm warnings for the most part being extended all the way to the bay. But embedded in these thunderstorms are little rotations here. There's a rotation that's in northern Carroll County. It isn't looking overwhelming. There's a new rotation that's taken over in the Dayton area. We have 2 tornado warnings that, as expected, that bottom tornado warning was let go. We stopped seeing a rotation signature there, but the major rotation center right now is right over the Dayton area. So we are going to dive back into that cell because that's the one I'm most concerned about. It's the one that's looking the most impressive for us this afternoon. Heavy rain there, lightning. We can kind of look at a lot of different parameters to determine, intensity of these thunderstorms. Our first go-to is going to be to look at storm relative velocity, because that allows us to see the motions of the wind relative to the direction of the storm. Now, what I am not seeing here is I'm not seeing a super tight rotation. I expect that to actually be expired soon. I'm just not picking up on what they're seeing here. I'm looking for shear, because shear can also kind of give me an idea of where they're going with this, but it's just not an overwhelming signature here. It's very scattered. There's not any bright reflectivity. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be sheltering in place, because there is some strong winds around, but this is just not an overwhelming, nothing's jumping out at me. I see strong wind here, not picking up on much of a rotation signature at all. I don't see much red. I normally would go to shear for at least the shifting of winds with height. I see some hail here, but that hail that's falling in the Dayton to West Friendship area, Cooksville, is rather light in nature. So I think that our concern here is going to be mainly just the wind event, heavy rain and wind. I'm just not picking up on the rotation signatures that I would typically see. I want to check back on that storm that's in the northern half of the state, see if we can actually get an idea on if there's still some rotation there. The name of the game here is to find the rotation. Some strong wind, some very strong wind moving into the Littlestown, West Manheim area, Mount Pleasant, but not seeing the significant rotation signature that would prompt a tornado warning. So we continue to monitor it because these thunderstorms can expand and contract at any time. Once again, we are tracking a line of storms ahead of a cold front that's going to bring all of this energy our way over the next few hours, and unfortunately, lots of rain as well. So we're not just looking at tornado potential. We're looking at strong wind potential. We're looking at the potential to see some isolated hail pockets, and then we could see some flash flooding because remember, this is going to be a multi-wave event. We're getting some showers and storms now, and then there's going to be a little bit more moisture heading into the evening. So what I want to do right now is kind of give you an overview of what we've been tracking here. And we've been showing you this Storm Prediction Center outlook for the last couple of days now. We're highlighted in this yellow, and we oftentimes talk about level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Essentially, the Storm Prediction Center has different ways of determining how buoyant the atmosphere is, how unstable they believe it is. And right now we're in that level 2 out of 5. We call that category slight, but there's normally different tiers of slight. Sometimes we expect there to be strong storms. Sometimes we expect the low end tornado risk. Today's one of those days where it is damaging winds primarily, but the potential for an isolated tornado and also some flooding. So the Storm Prediction Center has issued a tornado watch. That tornado watch lingers for portions of our area. This is going to include Carroll County, Baltimore County, Harford County. You're kind of right on that line, but it's stretching all the way down. So Howard County and Roanoke County, you're also included in this. We're going to be watching this atmosphere until 2 o'clock. Once this energy moves off towards the east, we still have the potential to see a thunderstorm, produce some strong wind, but we're thinking that there's just not going to be enough energy, enough shear for us to see rotating thunderstorms on the eastern shore. That's one of our risks. Unfortunately, a secondary risk here is going to be potential for some flooding, and that risk is through 11 p.m. tonight. I know you can't see that sign, but it's 11 p.m. and that's for essentially all of northern Maryland and all of areas that are west of the Chesapeake Bay, and that's just because that's where we're going to expect to see some training of some thunderstorms. So we'll go back to a more traditional look of what we're used to looking at, and looks like they just issued another tornado warning, a different part of the cell. And actually, it's the area that was rotating earlier. There was an earlier tornado warning moving through Burtonsville and into the Fulton area. We are always telling you about these thunderstorms having the ability to kind of expand and contract. Once they run into pockets of energy, we can get a little bit of more instability. And we're getting a stronger rotation signature, but still, you know, nothing that is scaring me. If anything, I'd actually kind of redraw that rotation. Looks like this whole area would be where the rotation is. So maybe the National Weather Service will redraw this tornado warning. But where we're seeing the greatest rotation would be from Fulton all the way into Burtonsville, kind of moving through that North Laurel area, moving off towards the north and east. So what I'll do is I'll track that out for you and give you an idea on where this is headed. And this is moving towards the northeast. A lot of these storms are moving in that direction. So we'll track that out in this general direction, about 25 miles. And that's going to move into the Savage community in about 9 minutes. Jessup, this warned cell will be pushing towards you in about 15 minutes. If this holds together, you can expect this tornado warned cell to be moving into the Hanover community at around 24, and Elkridge, you're just shy of 30 minutes from seeing this storm. So I'm going to focus on mainly these lower two storms because that northern Carroll storm just doesn't look overly impressive. The rotation signature is no longer there, so they could just be letting that run out. But these two cells are where we're seeing the greatest rotation. I'll zoom in a little bit more so that I can kind of give you an idea on what that looks like from a perspective of storm relative velocity. And once again, not seeing a strong signature here, but if you're in Cooksville, Woodstock, Dayton, I'd be on high alert. Go ahead into your safe place. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Once again, some strong wind and heavy rain moving through that area. A signature to the south of that, a new tornado warning just issued. This is going to include folks that are in the Columbia area. You are watching a tornado warned cell move off towards the north and east. I'm looking for other signatures here. There is a lot of hail here. I can see a little bit of rotation, so I think that this is the better opportunity for us to see a tornado at this minute right now. This is that cell that's going to include North Laurel, south of Highland, and south of Clarksville, but including folks that are in Columbia. That's going to be our strongest storm at this moment. You can see there's lightning around as well, and heavy rain. So anything that's in this region, you're not going to be able to just spot with the naked eye, especially if you're just looking at, if you're in Columbia and you're looking down to the south, looking down to the south and west, you're not going to be able to see that because the rain is that heavy. New radar scan, so that gives us a new opportunity to pick up on the atmosphere, and we're continuing to see that rotation around the North Laurel area. Not a super tight, not a super strong, but there's definitely a rotating thunderstorm there, probably a funnel cloud, and we're going to be watching to see how far that funnel cloud moves down. So you need to take cover if you're in the North Laurel area, just because that thunderstorm has been intensifying over the last 5 minutes. We saw this storm produce 2 tornado warnings beforehand. We were tracking one of them as it first made its way into Howard County, and then it was producing a storm in southern Maryland as well. So lots of energy out there. This is not a day that is going to end quickly. Unfortunately, this line of storms is moving at its own pace, and it has been moving very slowly. I've been watching this for the last hour and a half as it was moving through Thurmont, watching for the potential for some of these thunderstorms to start rotating, and that's what we're seeing. Severe thunderstorm warning right now in effect essentially for most of the state. We're talking about Carroll County, Frederick County, all the way into Baltimore County and Baltimore City as well, stretching through Howard County. So even if you're in one of those communities in Howard County that is not under a tornado warning at this moment, you are still under the potential for strong wind and heavy rain, and that's stretching all the way down towards the DC metro. So a very turbulent atmosphere out there. We're going to be tracking multiple risks throughout the day. We told you that the National Weather Service has issued a tornado watch that's going to linger through 2 p.m. So we still have roughly an hour and a half or so of watching this storm make its way to the essentially to the eastern shore. That's where we expect to lose at least the potential for tornadoes, and still strong wind and still heavy rain going to be possible as we head through the evening. And then of course, rain. There's going to be some significant rain out there. We're already seeing some of the first round of heavy rain. Some of these folks that are getting rain right now will get another round as we head into the next few hours, into the evening hours, and that's going to set the stage for some very saturated grounds. And we can see once again some flash flooding. We expect that to be an isolated risk, just the areas that pick up 1 to 2 inches, but nonetheless that risk does exist. So once again, watching this line of storms, I'm going to stop tracking this cell just because there's not much rotating there. I'm expecting that that's just going to expire off probably within the next 5 minutes. They're just letting it fall off. But we're watching these 2 cells because these 2 cells are where we're seeing the intensification happen right now. You can see lightning strikes in that cluster just to the south of Dayton. So that's going to be our areas that we're most concerned with. Clarksville, Highland, that's where we're picking up the heaviest rain and the strongest rotation signature. I want to take a look at our storm relative velocity once more, just to see if we've gotten an increase in rotation, and we have. This is going to be just to the east of the Hillcrest Heights area, north of North Laurel. This is crossing over, looks like Sweetland Road, Guilford Road, and it looks like Murray Hill Road, moving into the Guilford Gardens area, Glen Oaks area, Arrowhead area. That's where we're picking up on the tightest rotation signature. This is probably going to be the best signature that we've seen so far today. This is, I'm trying to strain my eyes to see some of these roads, but this is just to the east of Hillcrest Heights, just to the east of Skaggsville, south of Arrowhead. That's the area that we're picking up on some of the strongest rotation, and that is moving off towards the north and east. So what we want to do is we kind of want to give folks at least a little bit of lead time out ahead of this storm. So we're going to widen up our view here and retract this. Oh, we'll just go back to home and track this out towards the north and east. So I'll zoom in a little bit so that we can get a few more communities, because Baltimore, you are just downwind of this. You are just to the south and west of that. So folks that are in Columbia, Ellicott City, you're going to have this cell moving in your direction over the next few minutes. So we'll track out the rotation to the north and east, about 25 miles. So this is going to be moving into the Elkridge area in just over 15 minutes. Relay 21 minutes. Hanover, you have about 15 minutes. And if this holds together, folks that are in Arbutus and Linthicum Heights, this cell will be pushing into your neighborhoods in about 25 minutes. So once again, this is the cell that we see the most promising rotation in. But once again, that's one cell along a line of thunderstorms. Weaker rotation to the south, Bowie, that's just outside of our area, but that leaves cause for folks that are in portions of northern Anne Arundel County to at least be on alert as we're watching these storms move in. So we're tracking 2 active tornado warnings. I expect the first one that's moving through Dayton to actually expire. There's just not much rotation there at all. But the southernmost storm is the one that's showing the most promise, and this warning is set to expire within the next 30 minutes, but it's angling towards Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So folks that are in Baltimore County, Baltimore City, areas like Catonsville, you need to go ahead and just kind of buckle down, plan to stay home, go ahead and make sure that you can get yourselves to your safe room. Safe spaces are normally closets, walk-in closets or bathrooms. You want to avoid all exterior windows, all doors as these cells are moving through. We'll zoom in one more time to see if we can get an updated visual on the rotation that is moving through this area here. And once again, some strong thunderstorms producing a little bit of rotation and also some heavy rain and some hail. So we'll zoom in and change this over to storm relative velocity and get that updated scan. You can see that rotation has shifted a little bit. It's moved a little bit to the north and east. So we'll zoom in. That's going to be Guilford Gardens, Arrowhead. This is moving over, looks like Cape Ann Drive, moving towards the north and east. Once again, folks that are in Ellicott City, you are included in this warning. Catonsville, you are also just downwind of this cell. This rotation signature continues to at least be prevalent in this area. We can see the reds right here indicating winds blowing away from radar, greens right here through the Guilford Gardens area, that's winds blowing towards. And you know, it's funny how technology works. We send out these radar beams continuously. Looks like we just got an update radar scan. We send out these beams continuously, and what we're looking at essentially is the tops of these thunderstorms, and we can determine the directions of the wind. Now remember, I told you that cell near Dayton was looking unimpressive. That has been allowed to expire. So it looks like we're currently just tracking 1 tornado warning in our area. So this is going to be for folks that are in Howard County, unfortunately, but angling towards Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So same folks that have been watching this cell for the last 30, 45 minutes. We're continuing to monitor a pretty significant storm that is pretty strong, but also producing some serious rotation. So we'll zoom back into these communities, because the most important thing right now is to just continue to get updates on what's happening here, continue to get updates on that rotation. And this will probably be redrawn right now because the tightest rotation is just to the south of Columbia. So if you're in Columbia, you're probably seeing a lot of lightning there. The skies are getting dark. The wind is definitely blowing, and this is that area where we're seeing the potential for that rotation right now, moving through the Arrowheads area, lifting towards the north and east, towards Columbia. So if you're in Ellicott City, Catonsville, Arbutus, watch this storm. This is rotating still and moving towards the north and east. This will be redrawn within a matter of moments, and if it does continue to hold on to this rotation, that rotation will be extended into your communities. So we're going to go ahead and try to take a look at what's happening over the next few hours. And what we are going to continue to monitor is not only this line of storms slowly moving towards the east, it's going to lift towards the north. We're going to expect a little bit of dry time the closer we get to about 6 o'clock. Unfortunately, more of that energy going to be moving into our area as we head through the overnight hours, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. But this is supposed to be less intense. So still the potential for some heavy rain and strong wind. We just don't think that there's going to be enough energy left in the atmosphere to see a tornado risk. But heavy rain really going to be of concern as some of these folks are picking up a lot of rain right now. We're about to throw some more water on top of that. That's going to equal a soggy ground. So definitely reasons for us to at least be weather aware. I want to turn this into a more traditional view of what you're used to seeing. And there's a lot of polygons everywhere here. But what you can see is that this polygon here, that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning. Folks in Carroll County, you have been under this heavy rain, this strong wind for the last hour or so. You are continuing to be the folks that are taking the beating in the northern half of the state. That severe thunderstorm warning stretches all the way through Bowie, all the way down. There is some rotating thunderstorms that have been firing up in Howard County. We're still tracking 1 active tornado warning, but severe storms all the way down to the south. south, all of this is going to be pushing off towards the north and east. So the eastern shore, I know if you're in Elkton, Jarrettsville, you're wondering, why are we cutting in? If you're in Baltimore, you're like, the sky is getting dark, why are we cutting in? But all of this energy is going to be moving towards the east. And as it does, we'll be cutting in if we continue to see rotation for your community. So lots of energy out there, lots of lightning in Howard County. Folks that are in Eldersburg to the south of you, seeing quite the lightning show. Our main concern here right now is going to be, though, to continue to try to get information on this cell that is moving through Dayton. Once again, it's radar indicated rotation, or radar indicated tornado warning right now for portions of Howard County. So we'll zoom in, and we're going to get an update on those scans, maybe take a look at some shear. Looks like they've trimmed down that warning a little bit. So folks that are in North Laurel, you've been taken out. This is really just for this corner right here that is just to the south and to the west of Columbia. Good that they trimmed the warning, but still some strong wind in that area, still a little bit of rotation, still some breezy winds out to the west as well. We can look at shear. Shear's not looking overwhelming. We can look to see if we see hail. There's still some small hail in that area. This thunderstorm is holding on, but it's not intensifying, and that is the good news. So we'll continue to monitor this warn cell as we head through the next few minutes, see if they actually allow this to expire. Even though we may lose this tornado warning, there are still severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to be in effect up and down the state of Maryland here. And I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. These thunderstorms are still robust. They're still holding on to their energy. I want to take a look at storm relative velocity just in general to see if there's any other rotation that's starting to begin that we'll be watching. Things are looking pretty quiet in this Bowie, Severn area. So as this moves through Anne Arundel County, we're looking good right now. We have to watch this every 5 minutes or so, though, to see if these thunderstorms expire or if they start to flare up again. And then just to the north of that, south of Westminster, there is a thunderstorm there that is rotating a little bit, and there's some lightning there, so we're picking up on some rotation as well as some strong winds. So lots for us to watch as we head into the next few hours. Once again, this wall of water moving towards the east. Just out of curiosity, I want to see if we can kind of see the skies darkening up a little bit. We have a camera shot of, this is the harbor. This is one of our newer camera shots here. Lots of clouds out there. Folks are out there taking a picture. Unfortunately, this ominous look is something that we've been seeing for the last couple of days. So they're probably just thinking it's another one of those days. Hopefully they are aware of some strong storms that are going to be moving through that area within the next hour. So once again, downtown Baltimore looking pretty good. Unfortunately, that is not where our strong energy is. It's just to the east. So we are picking up on this heavy rain moving into the Bowie area. If you're in places like Annapolis, you still have about an hour before the heavier rain, the strong winds moving through, although you are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. Lots of energy up and down our state. So I'm going to zoom back into this tornado warn cell. It's a very small fraction of area here. This is a very small corner, but this is moving through Columbia. You're picking up on some heavy rain in the Columbia area, moving into Ellicott City. I know, so that's probably making folks a little nervous out there, especially considering there's a tornado warn cell just to the south. We're picking up some strong wind here. I can probably query that for you to get an idea of how strong the wind is in these areas. Yeah, so we're picking up 45, 50 miles per hour winds moving through Columbia, Ellicott City, and that's just with our radar estimates. Is it still rotating? There's some weak rotation there. It's actually a little bit further out of that warn cell. So that's really good news for us that they haven't redrawn the polygon. This isn't looking overly impressive. You guys have seen us show you some tornado warn cells that looked overwhelming. I expect this to expire within the next couple of minutes or so. They may actually let this run out, but this is not concerned about a tornado at this moment in this cell for any reason. This is just not impressive at all. But there's some strong wind around, some heavy rain. You can see Ellicott City picking up on some lightning as well to the west of and south of town here. That's going to be our big story in that area. The winds are elevated as well, gusting 45, 50 miles per hour. Continuing to zoom out just to make sure that we're looking at the whole state, see what we're seeing here. Once again, I am not overly impressed with that cell. I'm going to continue to monitor it, though, because it is about to move into a highly populated area, and I just want to make sure that they allow this warning to expire. So if you were just joining us and you're wondering, hey, what's Patrick doing on TV? We've been telling you for the last couple of days that we were expecting some strong storms to roll through our area. We knew that we'd have lots of, even this morning, last night, there was lots of humidity in the air. It didn't feel too uncomfortable, but you saw the fog. Anytime that you see fog, that means the dew point temperature and the actual temperature, they're real close to each other. We knew that that was going to continue to be the case, a very moist atmosphere. That's one of the ingredients that you need to get strong thunderstorm development. Then you need a forcing mechanism. We've been telling you about this approaching cold front. That's going to be our forcing of lift. That's why we're seeing all of these thunderstorms firing up. There's also lots of shear around, and shear is the thing that we're the most curious about, because shear is one of those scientific terms for winds veering or shifting with height. Whenever winds shift with height, that means that the atmosphere can rotate easier. So you have these thunderstorms that are in this area where there's all this energy and all this rotation, and that allows them to start spinning. And we get a little bit concerned because that's whenever we could see tornado warnings issued. Unfortunately, we kind of knew that we would see a line of storms move through with the potential to produce some damaging wind, 40, 45, up to 60 miles per hour wind gusts. And although we see severe thunderstorm warnings frequently around here, those wind gusts typically topple trees because at the end of the day, they are tropical storm force wind gusts. So they do a little bit of damage. This severe thunderstorm warning was just redrawn, and it took out the extreme western portion of Howard County, but it's still including Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and then we're still tracking that cell to the north that still has a severe thunderstorm warning on it as well. I'm really, I'd be shocked to see if they don't drop this tornado warning that is in Howard County. I'm just not picking up on any rotation. I'm going to keep going back to it, and I'm just going to look at what's going on downwind, because after all, that is moving into the city, and I just want to make sure that we're not getting any reinvigoration of rotation. Some strong wind there, and then once we check storm relative, that'll tell us the direction of the wind. Yeah, I'm not really too concerned about that cell. So what I am going to do right now is give you a rundown of where this is all headed over the next few minutes, and then I'm probably going to toss you back into programming just because I don't think that that's a threat anymore. So we'll take a wider view this time. Once again, showers and thunderstorms are going to be moving through the area over the next couple of hours. And then you can see that secondary wave as we get closer to 6, 7 o'clock, moving to the east, moving through the city of Baltimore at around 9 o'clock. And then that energy will progress. You can kind of pick up on that upper level lows rotation out to the east. This is associated with that cold front. That's all going to continue to push on off, and eventually we're just going to see the potential for some lighter showers as we head through the morning. There's going to be some wraparound moisture that's going to move in late morning, early afternoon, but by the time it makes its way here, I expect it to be significantly less. I expect lots of dry time as we get closer to the afternoon hours on Saturday, and I'm not really concerned about that dampening your weekend plans. And then we know from there, it really just gets nicer heading into the weekend. So I kind of really want to just wait for them to take this warning off, just do my due diligence, but I'm really not impressed. I don't like having folks at home stressed out because we're on TV about a situation that's not there, especially if I'm not seeing it. But I bet my salary that cell is no longer a threat at this moment. That doesn't mean that it can't fire back up. Remember, this is the same cell that was a tornado warning an hour ago that diminished and then tightened back up. But right now, there's just nothing here. There's just nothing here. So what I'm going to do is send you back to programming, and if this signature tightens back up, you'll see me again. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe.
Make your king as safe as possible. Because again, if you lose your king,